Today we're talking about the top 5 problems that piano players face when learning their instrument.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in beautiful downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We appreciate your support and we love to interact with you. Ted?
It's hard to just say there's 5.
5 problems. And so, we're trying to tackle, of course, we're not going over, access of instruments, affordability. Those are, this is assuming I have a piano in my home, I have a means to practice. What are the 5 problems I'm going to see as a piano player that I should be aware of?
Assuming you're a good student, you're motivated, and you want to learn.
Well, yeah, intrinsically, you've already committed.
All those things are there.
You've committed. So
your dad threw down big money, so you're going to learn it no matter what.
We're going to skip the intrinsic motivations because, that's groundwork is you need to say, I want to learn how to play piano. I'm going to put in the time, the effort, the commitment. I think that kind of sets you up for success.
What I'm thinking of right now is a little kid, any age, and a teenager in between, and an older
retired
adult,
person who's trying to get back into it, or someone who played when they were young.
Someone like even geezer age like me. And this is it. Wham. You're going to play piano, you're motivated, all that stuff. These are the 5 problems you're going to encounter. So these are things, if you pay attention to, should make it easy. And these are the things that a teacher will never sit down and say, look, number 1 about playing the piano is this, so I'm going to help you go through it, so don't worry about it. They don't do that. They don't teach you how to learn. Mm-hmm. They just start throwing stuff at you.
And this is really like, me and my wife just had a baby, and it's like we're always Googling, is this normal? Is this normal? These are things that are normal. So if you're facing these problems, we're here to help. You're not lost.
The first one, you want me to start naming them off?
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 1, the first problem you're going to encounter playing the piano, and we get this from people that are complete strangers. They walk in and said, yeah, I started playing piano, but it took so long, and I got discouraged and I quit. Took me a long time to learn.
It's progression. And I think, we set these lofty goals for ourselves. You can start running on January 1st, be like, I want to run a marathon. Like, is that feasible? Is that attainable? Do you have the tools needed to get there? And I think progression is one of those things where if the goal is to just play piano or be good.
You don't really get feedback on playing piano. Okay, here's the thing. You just mentioned it. You exercise. You go out, you run 3 miles today. Tomorrow you got feedback. Your legs hurt. Your back hurts. Your lungs felt like they had a blow up. But you got to go do it again today. Mm-hmm. And playing piano, you just get confused. You're not sure what the progress is. And a lot of that, I don't want to get into number 2, but a lot of that is that it's confusing. Mm-hmm. And it's just black and white. But it is very confusing because when you look at the music, well, it's just black and white. And so are letters and words and books.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of taking a physical thing that you really need to spend a lot of time and thought on just fooling around and playing with. But it comes with all these rules and instructions on how to play it. So what I like is in the last 30 years, there's been this, actually less than that, in the last 20 years, this great momentum. And you see these kids coming in and playing the crap out of the piano. I learned on YouTube. Well, there's fast progress. They got an overhead camera and you do what that guy does. That's the best way to learn. Don't worry about reading the music. Don't worry about what key you're in. Don't worry about the fingering. Just do what the guy does, assuming you have a good guide or a good teacher on the video. Mimic, just like you learn language.
No, I 100% agree. There are different methodologies to all of this. But the progression, people often are like, well, all the beginning pieces are boring, or the beginning books I don't like.
The little kid songs, 2 notes here, 1 here, hold it down.
And you feel stuck. And so to your point, there are different areas you can approach. YouTube is a great resource. Online classes, and I think this brings us to number 2.
Number 2, the really hard part is the theory and the methodology of teaching the piano.
So it's you. The problem would be you have the wrong the wrong idea about theory or the wrong
or your teacher has the wrong idea and our methodology of teaching. Some teachers don't want you pressing one note on the piano until you can find it on the staff. And they don't want you playing 3 notes on the piano until you can find it on the staff.
Or they ask, why did you do that? And you go,
well, hey, don't get ahead of yourself because you're going to have problems later on. And that's like trying to tell a little kid to shut up and don't learn how to talk right now because, well, why? You're going to have problems later on? That doesn't make any sense. And so a lot of it is I taught years ago a class piano, and that went really well. And in college they have class piano, but it's always a required class for a flute player or someone interested in music. But the idea behind it is if you've ever participated in a drum circle, you learn like that. You learn how to keep time and rhythm with a whole room full of people, even complete strangers. In class piano, you start pounding on one chord. Then you add in those bass notes that are in that one chord. Then you move up to another chord and you go around. But for 60 minutes or 30 minutes in that class, you're pushing keys on that piano, and you probably push more keys in that 30 or 60 minutes than they do all week long practicing. And it's the repetition, which is how language is learned. And that's the one thing. Does your teacher want you to learn how to read music first before you play piano, or do both at the same time? That's going to be slow progress.
Yeah, and I think when you look at methodology, you can think of it as like little modules of, hey, I need to learn timing. I need to learn the notes on the staff. I need to learn the correct fingering. I need to learn, what the melody is of this. There's all these little things, and if you get too nitty gritty and like zoom in on it, or I need to learn.
Oh, you shut a student down in no time.
And if you can see it from an overview, and I know this is hard to say, but if you see it from an overview and see theory as, it's a class that you take. It is. And it's getting a base understanding sometimes makes these smaller modules easier, and you can take a step back and say, okay, well, like this isn't making sense. I'm gonna do a little more research. I'm gonna look at this from an aerial view and say, okay, the scale is this whole, half, whole, and you start looking at things like that.
And the other thing too I wanted to mention is that when I'm talking methodology and theory, what I'm talking about is that, let me give you an example of 2 teachers, and just here in the city, this could be any city. One teacher, a brand new student, regardless of age or size, they start them off on the Hanon, and they start them off on their scales. First thing. And then they get to learn a little song that they might be interested in. Hanon and scales doesn't take a lot of reading to learn, okay? So, but it does build immediate dexterity, coordination, muscle memory, and it starts these little kids starting doing this Hanon. Other teachers will say, my students don't do the Hanon until after they've been playing for a year and a half or so they can read the notes, or because they make them read all those notes instead of looking at the key pattern. And this is the one thing I keep going back to saying, which leads up actually to number 3, and it also is concluding, is that always remember it's in black and white. The keys are in black and white, so there's patterns that are very distinguished, and music follows those patterns. And I've never known a teacher to sit down and say, let me show you the pattern on a keyboard just by looking and not reading music. And that really is the best way to master your technical skills on the piano.
So what's number 3 for
Number
us?
3 is fingering.
Okay.
It's fingering and hand position, and I cannot stress the one thing most teachers really don't reinforce on their students, but it's always thumb under both hands and 3 over, because that will allow you to run up and down the piano like a stair step, like a staircase or a ladder, where you always put the right foot in front of it. I mean, you don't go up like right foot, right. I mean, people walk upstairs. Playing the piano's the same way, regardless of what key signature you're in. And if you're going from a white key to a black key, you have to be able to go thumb under and 3 over. And that usually involves, at a minimum, a third, sometimes a fourth, if you're doing arpeggios.
And I've seen, your recommendation sometimes is to do it, at the same time in the same way, instead of starting pinky and thumb and going up, because the octaves follow instead of.
This right here is part of it. It's easy to learn thumb under and 3 over if you're doing contrary motion scales as opposed to doing them parallel. And I've mentioned that in videos before. If you start off, even chromatic scales, if you start off, you're always using the same fingers on each hand. That's very important for a beginner, because it takes a long time to distinguish between playing a second and third and a fifth finger over here and a 2 and a 4 in here. That's that's really farther down the
And
line.
the more you practice it and sleep on it, the better your brain
See,
is
the thing with
prepared.
the handing is every single finger, including your thumbs, gets used. So the fingering, and what's even more critical is when you play something and it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 5 down, always play it with the exact same fingerings. It's not just reading the music and playing it and getting to those keys on time. It's doing it fluidly with legato or broken up if they need it, but doing it to where you're not straining or thinking about, oh, I'm running out of fingers here. It's always so you have not too many fingers and you're not short one.
You got to learn how to walk before you can run.
Exactly.
And so we've got, our number one problem is progress. Make sure that you are counting the progressions, maybe doing a recording on your phone and seeing your progress. Teachers really help with this. Number two.
My father used to tape record us with a reel.
Yeah, and then you listen back.
Painful to listen to now, man. It's like 45, almost 50 years ago.
But you listen back six months and you see how far you've come.
Right.
Number two, theory and
methodology, the learning method.
Yeah, and number three, fingering. Make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure later by not learning the proper methodology,
Right.
or taking the time to learn to walk before you run. Number four, rhythm.
Rhythm. It's
Rhythm.
timing. Be at the right place at the right time. Don't be too early and don't be too late.
And this is, with a guitar, I've always told people, there's two parts really important. You have the hand, the fingering going, but sometimes just listen to your favorite song and learn. Just mute all the strings and strum to the pattern of the song.
Stroke. Get the rhythm.
And same thing with piano. If you can get the rhythm in one hand and then maybe practice doubling it with the left hand, it's a lot more fun to be learning the rhythm sometimes than it is to be learning technical. Okay, I'm trying to, because sometimes when you're learning a piece, you're stumbling so much over the sheet music,
Absolutely,
and you forget that, hey, this is a song with a rhythm and a beat.
You have to hash out all your mistakes first, and then while you're doing that, you're cognizant of the timing, but you're kind of pushing yourself to like you're out of time. It's like, okay, it's like here and like here, and then you get comfortable with. Then you do it in time. You have to really practice doing it in time.
And this is why I really love chord structure in pieces, and so why I sometimes let people know, hey, if you learn chord structure, it's kind of like a guitar. It can be a lot more fun on piano, because even when you're first hearing that piece and you look up the chords, okay, it's in C. I can just hit a C note. Okay, switching to F here, I can hit an F.
It starts sounding like the song.
And yeah, and you're very basically doing the song, but then you can add your other parts as you progress. But you're getting the rhythm, you're getting the feel of the song, and you're playing along with it immediately. As a 1-day, 5-day beginner, you can learn these things, and it slows it all down and allows you to build on it, gives you something to build on.
Rhythm is very, very important, and I mentioned a couple times that people say, well, I want to learn the piano, I want to learn it fast. Did you play guitar? Yeah. And you play piano like you play guitar? Oh no, you got to read music. No, don't do that. Just play your chords that you know on guitar, learn them on piano, and start playing them.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought of that.
So rhythm is very important, and one of the biggest problems that people encounter is, hey, it doesn't sound like it because I'm stumbling over this, or I can't keep up. Cut a couple notes out, figure it out. Take the time to be on the note instead of on the or be on the time instead of the note. And number 5, drive us home here.
This is it. This isn't really a shot in the dark. I really do believe this is a true statement. Complicated and confusing instructions. And this is a problem with playing the piano.
It's black and white. It's the only thing that's black and white in life,
They don't teach it in black and white. Or I take it back. They do teach it in black and white off of the paper. Okay? I like to refer to this, and let me give you an example. All white, white, black, white, black, white, black, black, white, 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 black, black, all black. Okay, so there's four groups of 3 that make up the 12 keys. And in those groups, you have, it's very simple. It's like an Oreo cookie, and then it's a reverse Oreo cookie, and then it's just all white. And then there's a group that don't match. All black, black, white, white, and white, black, black. Those 3 are one group.
What are these groupings?
Chords.
Okay.
Okay, so they're chords.
So if you think like a C major chord.
Right, so if you're teaching someone that doesn't really care to learn how to read music, but they're really good on piano, and they know all their scales and they know all their chords, I mean, you can tell them, hey, this song is kind of like an Oreo, all right? So it's going to be like in D flat or E flat or A flat. It's going to, or like D EA.
Okay,
If it's
yeah,
reverse
yeah.
Oreo.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
But an Oreo is going to be
your
D
E
flat,
flat,
E
yeah.
flat, or A flat.
Okay.
Okay. So most piano players know, like, oh man, that's like mostly all the black keys.
And then a B major will be white, black, black.
Right.
It's the one that doesn't fit.
That's one that
F
doesn't
sharp
fit.
majors, black, black, black.
Right. That doesn't fit. And then the other one is B flat.
B flat. Okay, yeah.
Black,
Black,
white,
white,
white.
Okay.
Okay, and that's not even going into minor chords. It's just keeping it very simple because those
are the
major
patterns.
chords are the patterns for where your hands need to be.
Okay.
And if you start at the bottom and you just follow the notes of those chords, it makes an arpeggio. If you fill in the blanks in between, straight up from one key to the other, following the white and black keys according to the key signature. You know, all those little flats and sharps at the beginning, they're actually, that is supposed to make it easier to play, believe it or not. Because they're telling you right there, this is in reverse Oreo, this is an Oreo cookie, this is an Oreo. These are chords that are going to be based like that or like all black.
So if that sounds complicated, then I think number 5 fits, right? It's complicated
I just kept
instruction.
it black and white, and look at how complicated
I
the
know.
conversation got.
I know.
But when you start thinking that there's guys that, oh, we still have music theory, that's like bringing in the geometry to prove the math. And it's like, there's not a lot of numbers in geometry. I mean, it's all contained in the angles and stuff. And so it's like a theoretical concept that is making something more complicated than what it needs to be.
But once you understand it, it makes it easier.
It makes it easier, but it's hard to look through 7 sharps and 7 flats and think I can sight read this my first time through.
Yeah.
And
No,
you see what I mean?
And I think what's beautiful about music is it ties in a lot of, you know, the classical, you know, liberal arts of you know, reading, sight reading, or math, you know, the patterns of math. But like the feeling, you know, it's undeniable when you hear a piece that resonates with you. The feeling is there, and so it's tying all these things together. And there's ways to learn each version of it. And the more you learn of a version that doesn't resonate with you, the better you get, because you challenge yourself. Or, you know, I'm not a great sight reader, but I really I have a great ear.
Okay, well, look at it this way too. I always look at this as, this is the potential to make music. It's a piano, it's a keyboard, and the biggest problem is everyone wants to sit down and be able to express themselves. This is the canvas. And there's a lot you gotta learn before you can even get to the canvas. Okay, so how people play, how they learn, how they paint. If you imagine that when someone sits down at a piano, they're going to show you a painting.
But
That you're going to hear.
To your point, a 6-day-year-old baby can create something on a canvas. Anyone can create on the canvas. It's just the expression of what they're trying to create. And so that's the beautiful thing about it. There's no wrong movement on a piano. There's just interpretation, your expression. And I think there's, you know, we'll wrap it up here at the 5 problems and complicated, you know, we could talk about this forever, but the complications of music or theory can really kind of weigh down on somebody. And the idea is, remember, you're having fun, you're expressing yourself, and you know, avoid the negative thoughts in your mind, and remember that even if it feels like a problem, it feels like you're not progressing, if it feels like you're not learning theory quick enough, it feels like your fingering's not there. At the end of the day, if you feel fulfilled through doing it, keep doing it, and that's kind of the goal of all this.
Yeah, but it's not hard. It's just tricky.
It's tricky.
And it's kind of like juggling. I mean, juggling's real easy. You just keep
Turn
them
your
in
mind
the
off.
Just turn. But you know what? It just takes repetition and practice. It's tricky.
So thank you guys for watching. This is Ted Barstow. I'm Patrick Marr with Alamo Music. If you haven't checked us out here in San Antonio or Austin, make sure you come by, say hello. We do have stores also in St. Louis, Kansas City. They're called Quiet Piano Galleries. We also have Michigan pianos up in Detroit area, Bloomfield, and Traverse City up in Michigan. So make sure you come check us out at one of our locations. Say hi. We'd love to see you and talk all things piano.